Well, wonderful to catch up with someone who's contributing so much to the racing industry, and that is Lisa Coffey. And Lisa, wonderful to catch up with you, mate, with a big smile on your face.
Thanks very much for having me.
Now, let's talk about your love of the equine animal. Where did that start?
So I wasn't brought up with horses. We're from a working class family, and my parents could never really afford to buy me a pony or send me for riding lessons. So I went on holiday I was invited over to a friend's house in Spain, and we just went on a trial ride, as you would do if you came down to the peninsula for a weekend, just for something to do. And for whatever reason, I was just absolutely hooked from then on, and I drove my parents absolutely insane when I got back. I was about 12 years old. Drove them insane to send me for riding lessons. Can I get a pony? Every picture I saw of a horse was, a big deal. So eventually we found a local stable who had lots of ponies. They weren't really a riding school, but the lady that owned it, her name was Breda Corrigan. She was fabulous, and she was the lady who really started me, and she allowed me to ride the ponies in return for mucking out boxes and helping her and her son around the stable. So I'll be forever grateful to her and her son Ronan, because if it wasn't for them, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now.
And what about the thoroughbreds specifically? When did you become involved with them?
My love for racehorses came when a friend of mine named Gary Cribben, who's a jockey's agent in Ireland, popped into we eventually had our own riding school, but he popped in and asked if I would help a local trainer ride work. And I had no idea how to ride racehorses. I was eventing and show jumping and, put my stirrups up and swing out of a 500-kilo very fast horse. But the long and the short of it was, the trainer's name was Niall Madden, and they were really patient with me. They put me on quiet horses, got my stirrups up gradually. I had to learn to walk again after my muscles adjusted. But so that's where my racing started. And from then on, I was riding more and more racehorses, applied for my jumps jockey's license. And then the equestrian horses kind of started to peter off a little bit, and I lost interest in any horse that wasn't a racehorse. Although I love all horses, my heart definitely belonged to all the racehorses. So it went from riding work to applying for my jockey's license to retraining. So it was a really good kind of full circle.
Was it a leap of faith to come to Australia, and why Australia?
I'll be really honest. I got really sick of riding out in the rain at home. And I was coming close to the cutoff age for a working holiday visa, sorry. So I thought, look, I'm sick of riding out in the rain here. There'd been a few people from my friends' groups that had gone to New Zealand, and some had gone to Australia, America, Canada. And I thought, I'll have a look and see where there's some jobs available. And I literally, and this is no joke, I actually Googled horse racing jobs in the sun. Yeah, and I ended up at Sheila Laxon's in Seymour.
And then it was on to Racing Victoria?
So I was lucky enough to be offered a job at Racing Victoria as an education development officer. And so my job with them was to kind of engage with industry and identify gaps in skills and different job roles, and to help the TAFEs and the training organisations develop programs to train people to do those jobs where there are skills gaps. So realistically, it was mainly around track riders. We ran some track rider programs and some stable hand courses. We brought in the mandatory training to improve safety for stable staff. So it was a really great job. And one of the huge benefits I got from that job was the opportunity to work in a corporate environment. So that really benefited my leadership skills and communication skills, digital skills, all that kind of stuff. So it was really great, and it really it catapulted me into the industry as well, because my job was to keep in touch with people. So it was great to be able to go to the races and have a genuine reason to approach trainers and have a chat, as opposed to being some complete random person that just wants to go and talk to people. Being from Ireland and having no family here, it was the perfect job for me, because I created my own family within the racing industry, and I still feel that way about the racing industry now. Even new people that come in that I haven't met, I just see the racing industry as being a huge big family, and I'm sure lots of other people do too.
And then what was the next transition for you, rehoming and retraining thoroughbred horses? And you must be really proud the way that the industry has really got behind this initiative.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've always had a love for retraining retired racehorses, and it was something that we always did in Ireland, but there was never really a thing made out of it. You know, it wasn't glamorized, or there wasn't really ever a necessity, because people kind of just took retired racehorses. I think there maybe is less stigma around the temperament of retired racehorses in Ireland. I don't really know, but it wasn't as big a thing in Ireland. It was just something that we did. So, you know, with my experience of retraining thoroughbreds in Ireland and riding thoroughbreds in training, I just understood and got an experience of how versatile they are. You know, as soon as you take them off all that high energy feed and you put them into a different training regime, get them out of boxes, and you know, they're not constantly working on the same tracks, and give them a little bit more to think about. You know, they're the most loving and kind and sensitive, versatile. They're just so giving. They try so hard. I'll give you just a really good complete comparison. Our farm is almost completely full of thoroughbreds, and we've got one Shetland pony. I know Shetland ponies are a little bit renowned for being stubborn, but the Shetland that we have works with the small kids that come for therapy. But she is not as versatile as the racehorses. She certainly has a mind of her own. She can be very uncooperative. So she's only about 9 hands high, but she is actually sometimes more difficult to handle than any of the thoroughbreds that we have, even coals.
That's remarkable. You talk a lot about what you do and what we do for the thoroughbred and for the horses, but what about what the equine athletes do for the humans? Tell us about that.
So equine-assisted therapy is, to put it in really basic terms, it's counselling offered, it's kind of traditional counselling offered in a non-traditional way. And you know, it kind of, one of the things that kind of gets my back up a little bit sometimes is that a lot of people have a huge misunderstanding of what equine-assisted therapy is. They think that quite often people are kind of overselling the fact that you go out into a paddock with some nice horses and you pat them and you feel good about yourself and off you go about your day. And that's, I'm sure there's a small element of that to it, but that's not really what happens. You know, the setup in a session is that it's worked very much like a traditional counselling session. So equine-assisted therapy is psychotherapy or counselling is always delivered by a qualified mental health professional, and there's a lot of science to back it as well. So I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love all the sciencey bits. And for me, it's really important that we're actually able to measure what happens for our clients instead of just seeing anecdotal feedback from them, which is also great because the session is about the client and it's important for the client to get the maximum benefit from it. But from a science point of view, what we've actually seen in the research lately is that when people see animals, the part of their brain that's associated with emotion and storing both good and bad memories and behavior, they're all, that part of the brain is activated when people see animals. So if we, it's really interesting. So if we, and it doesn't matter what kind of animal it is either. So it doesn't matter if it's a snake or a cute puppy dog, the same amount of activation happens in the amygdala, in the right-hand side of the amygdala of the brain. And if you think about it, when we work with clients, we work with past memories. So that's the memory part of the brain that we're working with. We work with emotion and we work with behavior. So if animals can trigger that part of the brain straight away, before we even enter into a conversation about what the person wants to discuss or work on, we've already kind of hacked into their brain without doing anything, just with the horses being there, which is amazing. And the second part of it that's also really interesting is that when humans are in contact with animals, our bodies also release a lot of the hormones that are associated with calmness or elevated mood or bonding. So again, it's almost like a really cool body hack for a counsellor or a psychologist to have animals present in their counselling session, because immediately, even without the client knowing, their body is releasing some hormones that will help them become calm or elevate their mood or stabilize them a little bit to wherever they need to be. And it can be really powerful. Some of the sessions that we've had with clients, we've shifted some stuff for them that they haven't been able to shift for a long time. And And I know it's because they actually get to experience things with the horses as opposed to sitting in the confines of four walls with one person, and it's more of a clinical situation. We really get to experience beneficial change with the clients in our session, and the horses are really instrumental in that because they're the ones who support the bodily biological changes in the client, and then they can actually experience exercises with them.
And is a racehorse naturally suited to this work, or you have to do a lot of prep to get them ready?
It depends. So I have a whole team of racehorses or retired racehorses that I work with, and I try and match the person to the horse because all the horses have very different personalities. I've got a couple of horses they're like Labrador dogs. They're so quiet. But then I've got a couple of retired racehorses that are a little bit more energetic. So depending on what the client brings to the session, I'll probably pick and choose horses to match the client with. The other thing that I've noticed is that when, so say for example, if I have a client that has a theme of really wanting to experience some kind of caregiving, or it's something that a need that they feel that they need met, sometimes I'll pair them with a horse that's in the hospital. So we'll do some work in the barn with a horse that maybe has a bandage on its leg or has had surgery, and it gives them the opportunity to experience that caregiving. So it really just depends on the client, depending on which horse that we work with. But the reason I love retired racehorses so much is because they're just so cooperative. You know, even with the highly energetic ones that we have, once we bring them into a situation where we're working with them in a session, you know, they'll work with us. And there's something that the horses know about us that we're never ever going to be able to measure. And you know, before I really started practicing in this way, and you know, when I qualified as a counsellor early days when I was in Ireland, and even when I was studying psychology here, people would always say to me, "Oh, you know, the horses can sense what we're thinking and sense what we're feeling." And I always knew there was a bit of an element to that, but I was always a bit of a skeptic because I thought people were kind of buying into the wishy-washy, they can read our minds kind of thing. But I'd say there's been a handful of sessions that I've had with clients here where I've probably been standing watching what's happening with my mouth absolutely wide open because they behave in ways that just match perfectly what that client needs, and behave in ways that horses don't normally behave as well. So it's not normal behavior that just happens to be a coincidence that they've met that client on the right day and they're behaving in the perfect way. They do really random things like stand in a line one behind the other, like you know, when you go on a camel ride in the desert and the camels are kind of nose to tail. I've seen them do that, and they've stood there for an entire half an hour. They just stand nose to tail. And horses don't do that. Like in a paddock when they're not being held, they don't really do that. I've seen horses lie down for clients. I would love for them to lie down for me. It doesn't happen. It's just, yeah, there's the science aside and the pony patting aside and whatever else you want to call it, there genuinely is something that the horses can read about us that we're never going to know what that is. And I think because racehorses or thoroughbreds are so highly attuned and aware, they can really feed into that.
And the name Racing Hearts, we know the passion you've got for horses and for animals and people. It seems the perfect name.
Yeah, so I was trying to come up with a clever name that would match both. And then when I was designing my website, Sharon Chapman had taken this really stunning picture of Lankan Rupee because he has that gorgeous heart on his head. And in the last few weeks, Lankan has actually moved to our farm. So it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. So now it's the perfect name.
Is he still damn fast? I mean, you could argue when he was at his peak, he was the fastest horse in the world. Is he still quick?
Oh, he still thinks he's the fastest horse in the world. So Chanel Jenkins is his owner, and she does a lot of showing with him. And you know, she turns him out in the morning, and he will just do laps of his paddock. And sometimes I think that he's just going to come at the fence and jump over it some days because he's still like really vibrant and full of energy and all the things that you would expect to see in a racehorse who was rock hard fit. Even though he's not quite rock hard fit for the show season yet, there's something about him. There's almost an element of him that really thinks he really still is a racehorse and he's rock hard fit. But obviously then when Chanel does her thing with him as well, he kind of transitions back to, I'm a retired racehorse now.
So what's next for you? What's on top of that to-do list?
So August I start back working with Monash Uni. So hopefully early next year I'll be able to do some really robust research around equine-assisted therapy, and I really want to link that to the racing industry. I've got loads and loads of theories and ideas and things I'd like to test out. So maybe things like specifically for people in the racing industry, whether equine-assisted therapy might help them more than room-based therapy, because when they go home they have access to horses, so they can continue on exercises that we might have done in session in comparison to room-based. So things like that I really like to look at. So probably what I'll do is I'll touch base with Racing Victoria, hopefully, and maybe have a chat with them and Ciara Fitzgerald, who's their their wellbeing officer. So I'd really love to bring I think more awareness and more beneficial programs to the racing industry for mental health would be really good.
You're doing a sensational job. Great to catch up, Lise.
Thanks very much.